still preliminary information based upon the investigation as we know it now. And the investigation is still ongoing, still evolving, and still has a ways to go. But this is what I can share with you. Last night at about 7:30, 16-year-old Gavin Johnston, Johnston, who resides at 412 Harborview Lane in Largo, along with 5 other juveniles who are all 16, 17 years old, left his residence, and he was operating a 24-foot 2014 Yellowfin with a Mercury 400 horsepower engine on it. And they were going to a party down in the Treasure Island area. They stopped along the way and picked up another juvenile who, when he got on the boat, brought alcohol on the boat. Apparently beer, hard seltzer, other alcoholic beverages onto the boat. Some of the kids were drinking. They got to the party down in Treasure Island. And from what we know now and what it's been, and they say it's in Treasure Island, it's in the Treasure Island area. The address is actually in St. Petersburg off the Treasure Island Causeway. From what we know now, at that location, there were probably somewhere in the area of 30 to 40 kids that were on the first floor of that house. And by several witness accounts, they were drinking, some were smoking marijuana, and that there were adults there, and the adults were up on the second floor of that house. Somewhere around midnight, maybe a little after midnight, all the kids with Gavin Johnston left on the boat. They made one stop to drop somebody off, and they continued north in the intercoastal waterway. I'm not going to identify the other kids that are on the boat. I'm going to identify the 16-year-old deceased girl, and her name is Rachel Herring, Herring. And Rachel was a passenger on the boat. As the boat was coming northbound, the boat, as you can see over here to my left and to the east, as I explained earlier, with the channel marker number 28, the boat struck that channel marker. And when the boat struck the channel marker, everybody on the boat, all 7 people on that boat, were ejected and into the water. The kids realized that Rachel was missing. Rachel, it appears, and again, this is all preliminary, drowned, and her body was recovered about a half a mile south of here in the middle of the intercoastal waterway. After the boat hit the channel marker, it continued at what appears to be a high rate of speed into the seawall, and as you've been able to see, it sits now in the water here, and we're trying to salvage the boat. We do have a search warrant that's been obtained from a judge for the boat and for the electronics on the boat, and we're waiting to execute that search warrant. It is a situation where speed is definitely a factor, and there are other factors, and Gavin Johnston at 16 has been charged with negligent homicide. The specific charges are pending. He is in custody and is being transported to the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office Administration Building. Again, it is ongoing, but there is speed and other factors that caused the crash. As far as we can tell at this point, is that at the time of the crash, Gavin Johnston was not under the influence of alcohol. From the witness statements, he had some consumption of some alcohol many hours prior to the crash, but based upon the deputies that were on scene soon after the crash, he did not appear to be impaired. The other kids on the boat had been consuming alcohol, and again, the one kid that they picked up as they were heading down to this party brought alcohol on, and again, there was alcohol and drugs at the party, but it does not appear that Gavin Johnston, the operator of the boat, was under the influence at the time. So that's why the charge is a negligent homicide charge, and we'll announce what that specific charge is here in a little bit. But that's what I can tell you at this point. We're waiting right now to make sure that we can serve the search warrant to get the electronics out of the boat, salvage the boat, get it out of the water. Of course, with Rachel's family, our hearts go out to her family. Her mom is out of state. She's on her way back now. We're helping to facilitate getting her mom back here to Pinellas County. Her dad is here. And from what I know, the best I can tell you is that all of the kids, with the exception of one, and I don't know which one, were students are students at Osceola Fundamental School. That's just it's a tragedy. At 1 o'clock in the morning, and going way too fast with not proper illumination, and there were some lighting problems on the boat that Gavin Johnston knew about. Lighting problems on the boat, and that he was, and we do have already some video that shows just before the crash that the boat was on a plane, and this is a no-wake zone in here, and that means that the bow of the boat needs to be in the water, and in a no-wake zone the speed should probably be somewhere around 5 miles an hour, and I can tell you that based upon statements and other evidence is that he was extensively exceeding the no-wake zone and the speed. And it should not be going that fast. And again, we do have some video already that shows that as he passed by just to the south here in the intercoastal waterway, that is a no-wake zone, that he shouldn't be going 5 miles an hour, that boat was planing and he was going extremely fast.
What's his age?
16.
And the last name of the victim?
The victim's last name is Herring, Herring. Rachel.
Sheriff, are there any possible charges for the house party where the alcohol was consumed, or where the individual who brought the alcohol on the boat, anything like that?
So everything's on the table at this point. We're going to conduct a very thorough investigation. The lead on the investigation is the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office Homicide Unit, being supported by the Marine Unit and our Major Accident Investigation Team, as well as the dive team. So we have a significant number of people and assets out here to conduct the investigation. At this point, everything's on the table, and again, I can't even fathom anything that is more tragic than this. It is all the ingredients were put into a bad result, where you got 7 kids on a boat in the intercoastal waterway. Speed's a factor, lighting's a factor. 1 o'clock in the morning, some had consumed alcohol. They're at a party where there's alcohol and marijuana. There are adults at the party as well, and they got in a boat and left and coming back, and this is what you get. And
Adults who were at the party be charged?
again, the investigation is ongoing. It's preliminary, and I can just tell you what I know at this point. We're going to look at all of it, and we'll make determinations as we go.
Were the kids at the party
Yes.
drinking drugs at the party?
Yes. Yes. There were about 30 to 40 kids at that party, including these 7.
Do you have an update on the other individuals, if they're out of the hospital?
So one of the other juveniles who was on the boat was transported to Bayfront Medical Center with minor injuries, non-life threatening. The others didn't require hospital medical treatment.
You said Johnston is facing a negligent homicide?
Correct.
And
So
you are sure he was driving the boat?
Absolutely, yeah, no question about it.
You said you're getting a search warrant?
Yeah, for the boat itself.
I mean,
For the,
do electronics,
Yeah.
do they tell how fast something
Yes.
is going? Just like a black box or
Yes.
something almost? Really?
yes,
Okay.
yes. And he was on. So this is a pretty big boat. It's a 24-foot boat, probably somewhere around with a 400 horsepower engine on it. Probably somewhere around 160, 170,000 power boat. They had a bridge on it, and he was driving from the bridge. Is where he was. He was up on the top. He was on the bridge of the boat. And so again, when he hit the channel marker, it appears that the vessel increased speed after the crash, and it significantly slammed into the seawall. And when it hit the seawall is when it began to sink, and now has landed where you see it over there.
And when so there was another lady over there saying that I guess she heard that something hit the victim in the head when she fell off the boat.
So I don't know that. I can't really speak to that, whether something hit the victim in the head. What I can speak to and what we know is that at the time that the boat hit the channel marker, it hit the channel marker with enough speed, enough impact, that everybody was tossed off the boat. All 7 people were in the water. And what we know is that they immediately realized that Rachel was not there and they couldn't find her. And how they were able to find her and how we were able to find her once the deputies arrived on scene is that she had her cell phone in her pocket, and they used an app, a Life 360 app with GPS to find her body. and she was recovered in the middle of the intercoastal waterway, deceased.
And so you should say that you said that he wasn't under the influence at the time.
Correct. The investigation is determined now, and he did field sobriety tests. Deputies observed him, and deputies from our DUI unit were out here. They conducted that investigation, who are experts at it. We had a drug recognition expert conduct an evaluation of him, and based upon that investigation and all the evaluations, is that there is no basis to conclude that Gavin Johnston was under the influence. Now, just because he wasn't under the influence doesn't mean, of course, and that's why we've charged him, that there isn't criminal culpability, but it's not based upon being under the influence of drugs or alcohol.
So the current charge is negligent homicide
Correct.
against him?
And we'll give you the specific, but it's we're working through the exact charge, but it'll be a form of negligent homicide, yes.
I think you said this earlier.
It'll probably be under the Florida statutes. Probably vessel homicide is what it is.
Vessel homicide?
Yes, in the Florida statute.
I think earlier you said this was his parents' boat. Is that
Correct.
right? Okay.
Correct. It's his parents' boat. Apparently, from what we know, it was recently acquired. There's no FL numbers on the boat. It was so recently acquired that it has not been registered yet, from what we understand. And
Where were they heading last month?
going back to Johnston's house. That's where they originated from, about 7:30 last night. As I said, they went south. They picked up this other guy. He brought alcohol on the boat. They were consuming alcohol. They go to this party where there's marijuana and alcohol being consumed with this group of kids and the adults. They spend their time there. They leave. They make a stop and drop somebody off, whether it was the same kid that they picked up or not, I don't know, but they dropped somebody off at a boat ramp, most likely, and then they were coming north and heading back north. From everything we can tell, they were heading back to Johnston's house.
And when you say adults, were they any of those adults parents to the kids?
I don't know. I don't know
You
that.
said Johnson's house. It's not at this dock where they stopped, right? Is it down?
No, remember, they didn't stop anywhere. Okay, they hit that channel marker and got ejected, and because of the speed of the boat, it was veering to the west here or to the left as you're going north, and that boat, it appears with the throttle down, slammed into the seawall. So they hit the channel marker, the boat veered to the west and slammed very, very hard into the seawall. So they didn't stop anywhere. And Johnston's residence, again, is 412 Harborview Drive in Largo, which is going to be a boat access residence here, I believe, on the east side of the intercoastal waterway. So that's what we know. We'll put out more information as we develop anything else. And unless anybody's got anything else, we're done.
And the lighting issue on the boat. So the light, the water.
And all I can tell you at this point is that there were light issues, and that's all part of the investigation. There were some navigation lights that were required, and we know that Johnston knew that some of those lights were inoperable. That's about as much as I'm going to say at this point. And he knew that going down that they were inoperable.
The homeowners where the party happened, are they going to face any charges for
That's what I said. That's all under investigation at this point. Detectives are out. We're doing interviews, and that's all part of the ongoing investigation. Anything and everything is on the table as far as further investigation and possible further charges are concerned. The only thing I'd say is everybody, thoughts and prayers go out to Rachel, his family. At 16, it's such a tragedy, and her mom's on her way back in. Her mom was out of state. She's been notified. She's on her way back in. We're trying to help her get back here. The sheriff's office is using some resources to try and help her get back. And we have people in a victim advocate with her dad who lives down in south of here. So,
You said Osceola High School?
Osceola Fundamental.
Fundamental?
All right, thanks everybody.
Sure.